Hey everyone, and welcome. Have you ever wondered how the internet just seems to, well, read your mind? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the invisible, super high-speed auction for your attention that happens every single time you load a web page. You know the feeling, right? You're looking at hiking boots on one website and then, boom! Just a few moments later, an ad for those exact same boots shows up on a totally different site? How does that happen? Well, it's not magic. It's actually one of the fastest and most sophisticated marketplaces on the entire planet. You know, it wasn't always this fast. The old way of doing things involved a ton of phone calls, manual negotiations, and it could take weeks just to get an ad placed. But the internet, of course, moves way too fast for that. So the new way was born. A completely automated, real-time system that operates in milliseconds and connects advertisers to websites all over the globe instantly. To really get how this all works, you've got to know the players. Just think of it like any other market. You've got sellers, you've got buyers, and then you have a whole lot of really cool tech in the middle that makes it all happen. So let's meet them. First up, we've got the publisher. Now, this is any website, any app, or any media company that has digital real estate, ad space to sell. They're the ones creating the cool content that brings in an audience, and that audience is exactly what advertisers want to reach. And on the other side of the coin, you have the advertiser. This is the brand, the company, that's trying to get its message out there. They're on the hunt for the right people in the right place at exactly the right time to show their ads to. Okay, now here's where the tech really kicks in. An advertiser isn't sitting there manually searching for ad space. No way. Instead, they use something called a demand-side platform, or DSP. This is basically their automated agent, kind of like a personal robot shopper that's programmed to find and bid on the perfect ad spots across millions of websites all at the same time. And of course, the publisher has their own secret weapon, the supply-side platform, or SSP. You can think of this as a robot auctioneer. Its one job, its only job, is to manage all the publisher's ad space and run lightning-fast auctions to sell every single spot to the highest bidder, making as much money as possible. So you've got the buyers and the sellers, and both have their robot agents ready to go. The second you start to load a web page, these agents just spring into action, conducting this massive auction for the ad space on your screen. And trust me, it happens faster than you can possibly imagine. Okay, so here's the play-by-play of what happens in that tiny fraction of a second. First, you visit a website. Instantly, the publisher's SSP sends out a bid request. That request flies over to an ad exchange, which is like the central marketplace, and it shouts out the opportunity to tons of DSPs. Those DSPs, the advertisers' robot shoppers, analyze everything and place their bids. The SSP then picks the highest bidder, and boom, the winning ad gets sent right back and shows up on your screen. Just think about that for a second. That entire six-step dance we just walked through, it all happens in about 200 milliseconds. That is literally faster than you can blink your eye. And this isn't just happening once in a while. Billions of these auctions are going down across the internet every single day. It's incredible. But, for the publisher, the story doesn't just end with getting the highest bid. It turns out the source of that money is incredibly important. And chasing every single dollar, no matter where it comes from, can actually lead to some serious long-term problems. This quote just nails the publisher's dilemma. Yeah, a quick buck from some unknown partner might look good at first, but it can come with some serious long-term damage, hurting the brand's reputation, putting user data at risk, and scaring away the premium advertisers. It's a weird paradox. Chasing the highest immediate bid can actually devalue their most important asset, which is their audience's trust. So to try and fight this, the industry created a really clever tool called ads.txt. It's basically just a simple public file where publishers list every single company that they authorize to sell their ad space. Think of it like a bouncer's list for a nightclub. If your name isn't on the list, you are not getting in. It's a huge help in fighting fraud and making the whole system more transparent. So it really all boils down to the choice a publisher has to make. On one hand, you can work through direct, trusted paths. This protects your brand, cuts down on fraud, and makes advertisers feel confident. On the other hand, you can work with these murky resellers that might lead to lower revenue in the long run, data leakage, and just a general feeling of distrust in the system. So the risks of picking a bad partner, they are very real. You're opening yourself up to things like commercial arbitrage, where these middlemen just resell your inventory without adding any value. Or worse, ads fraud, where someone literally pretends to sell your valuable ad space without your permission.
All of this can seriously tarnish a publisher's brand.
And at the absolute center of this whole complex ecosystem is something very personal: your data. Every single decision being made here is getting reshaped by this massive global conversation we're all having about privacy and consent.
You've definitely seen this before. A consent management platform, or CMP, is that little pop-up box where you click Accept all cookies. It's the tool that publishers are legally required to use to get your permission before any of your data can be used in that 200-millisecond auction.
And that consent is a massive responsibility. When a publisher adds a technology partner to their CMP, they're basically standing up in public and saying, "We certify this company. We trust them with our audience's data." If they get that wrong, it can lead to huge legal fines and just destroy their reputation. So the entire industry right now is in the middle of a massive shift. Third-party cookies, those little bits of code that have been following us around the web for years, they're being phased out. The future is all about moving toward first-party data. That's the info that users give directly to publishers, and contextual targeting, where ads are based on the content of the page you're on, not your personal browsing history.
And that brings us to the big, final question. This invisible auction we've been talking about has paid for so much of the free content, the free services, and the news that we all rely on every day. So as privacy rightfully takes center stage and completely changes the rules of the game, it leaves us with a really fundamental challenge to think about. Who's going to pay for the internet of tomorrow?